Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Patricia Kalanicki, and I'm here with you today to speak about academic writing. And on behalf of Dr. Melda Yildiz, I'd like to thank you for having me. So I'm going to speak a little bit about my writing history and then move into my writing process and then advice for you on academic writing. So my writing history, I was not the strongest writer in high school or college. In fact, I really didn't enjoy my English courses. And it wasn't until my master's thesis, that was a very long paper for me to write, that I really decided to take a systematic approach to not only organizing my paragraphs, but organizing my ideas in a very structured way. And I think in a math mind, a very mathematical way. I attached a link to my doctoral dissertation on ProQuest. So my dissertation, I took a much different approach. It was a much longer paper, required a much different approach in terms of organizing my writing. So I will speak to you a little bit about that. So for me, the writing process starts with a lot of reading. At the very beginning of writing about a specific topic, you may suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect. I linked an article in the PowerPoint to help you learn a little bit more about that. But really what it means is you don't know what you don't know about a topic. So you might think you know a lot about a specific topic, but in reality, you don't really know a lot, and you don't even know what you don't know, if that makes any sense. But the article may clarify. So some advice for you moving forward in terms of research: don't get lost in a research rabbit hole. What I mean by that is, as you search different keywords in your databases or in Google Scholar, you'll start to kind of drift away from your core topic. While articles may be interesting, they are not going to be helpful for you on your topic, so you need to really stay focused. One way to do that is to use peer-reviewed resources. So finding a really good author on your topic that's an expert in your topic, and then go at the end of their article and use their reference list as a list of resources that you need to now read. Another thing that you should do when considering your research and writing is you need to read the classics. So if you are citing a particular theorist, you want to read their work. You don't want to read someone else's interpretations of their work. So if you are talking about George Kelly, you want to read George Kelly's book. And then how do you know when you're done reading? Because you may be apprehensive about starting to write because you feel like there's so much more to read and there's more to learn once you've passed the Dunning-Kruger effect. So you decide, you really get to that sense that you're done when you start to read articles and the citations and the names being mentioned are the same points are being made. That's when you know you're really getting close to being done with your research and done with your reading. But you can always go back if need be. So for organizing my research for my doctoral dissertation, I decided to go completely paperless. So all of the articles I got online, I saved them as PDFs or as Word documents so that I can highlight and annotate them. And then I used a Word document or a Google Doc to organize all of my citations and all of my notes. I actually used a separate document for each chapter of my dissertation, but for an article or a chapter, I would use just one document. I'll show you an example of how I structured it. So I used and added searchable tags so that I could search this document later to find certain articles that I was looking for, as opposed to having to, dig through mounds of paper that people would do if they didn't go paperless. I highlighted and numbered each article that I used, and as I highlighted it, that showed me that I had already cited it and had already added the reference in my document. And then I was able to kind of skim the notes as needed and fill in the table with colors to help me organize and sort through some specific subtopics. So here's an example of that. If you look at the first column, they're numbered. So article number 65 was saved in a folder as 65.LaRue.1987. So I knew not only the number of the article, but also the author and year of the article, which would be helpful when I was making citations. Excuse me. And then you can also see that I took a few notes and then I added some keywords. Now, I didn't always add keywords. It just depended on what I needed that reference for. So if it was for something later in my article or in my paper, I might add some keywords which would help me search for those articles later on. I wouldn't be digging through or scrolling through this document. So now moving forward as an editor, someone who is looking at chapters, academic writing, dissertation defense, I'm now on a committee for that. I'm looking for really these three things. I'm looking for an organized paper. I want the paper or the chapter or the article or this piece of academic writing to tell a story. I want to start with something very broad. Why is this important in the general scheme of things? And then narrow it a little bit to what we know, what we learned, how we learned it, and what's new about this topic. And then you can move into maybe a specific problem and a specific solution to the problem. Then I want to talk about presentation. You don't want to speak about what other people said about it. You don't want to say Smith said this about the article, Jones said that about the article. You really want to synthesize and analyze what you have read. So you have to look at the studies that you're reading as data. You want to bring out common themes, common observations. Maybe you decide that there's a conceptual framework that is here that you see that maybe no one else has seen before. You want to really hear the music. So thinking of each article as an instrument, you want to hear how they all go together. And then finally, editing. You want to, when you're doing your writing, you want to have your APA manual right next to you. You don't want your editors or your colleagues to have to do minor edits, APA citations, grammar, spelling. You want to make sure that all of those are done so that they can focus on the content that you're presenting. I hope what I said today was very clear, but if you'd like to continue the conversation, I really love this topic and I'd love to help and share and connect with you. Here's my Twitter handle, my email address, and if you'd like to look at some resources that I have on my Weebly website, you can go right ahead. Thanks so much. Thank you, Dr. Yilditz, and I hope to see and hear from you soon.